Calculations in Epidemiology, Incidence Rates, June 2023. Hey there, this slide presentation will detail a key concept in the field of epidemiology, an incidence rate. This presentation seeks to help you understand the meaning of an incidence rate, how to calculate an incidence rate, and some contemporary examples of incidence rates in today's society. So what exactly is an incidence rate? Quite simply put, an incidence rate is the quantified number which represents the amount of new cases of a specific disease within a selected population over a given period of time. The concept of a case refers to a set of standard criteria for classifying a person as having a disease such as COVID-19. Typically, the standard criteria for a disease is a collection of medical or clinical signs and symptoms that is unique to that particular disease, like a fever, high blood pressure, or acute pain. Incidence rates are useful in many aspects of daily society, especially in the public health realm. Incidence rates are commonly used by experts in a variety of fields, from healthcare to the financial industry. By studying the probability of occurrences of things like disease, experts can make sound decisions on the need of people in the future. As you can see by the above graphic, incidence rates are calculated by placing a number which represents the number of new cases in the numerator of a calculation and placing the total number of people at risk in a population in the denominator. When you then divide those two numbers, the answer you get is then multiplied by what we call a population coefficient, which is typically 100,000. That then is your final answer. So for number of cases, total population equals answer multiplied by 100,000, which equals the final answer. This slide details an example of how specifically you would calculate an incidence rate. Note that although the numbers are different from the previous slide, where they are placed and how they are calculated remains the same. This is the first example of an incidence rate. This graphic shows the number of new cases of COVID-19 broken down by age ranges in terms of numbers of new cases between January 22nd and May 30th, 2020. It shows that during this time, people 80 years and older had the highest incidence rates versus other age ranges. In example number 2, found on this slide, a study conducted by the CDCP looked at lung cancer rates among men and women. As illustrated in this graph, men had a diminished incidence rate between the years of 2005 to 2009, on the order of 2.9% per 100,000 men monitored in the study. That means the amount of new cases decreased from 87 to 78 cases. Similarly, the incidence rate among women noted in the study illustrated a 1.1% decline per 100,000 women monitored in the study, or 57 to 54 cases. Finally, example number 3 shows a 7-day incidence rate for COVID-19 in various countries for new infections per 100,000 people in a population on the day of June 28, 2020. As you can see, the United Kingdom led the way with an IR of 153 per 100,000 people. In conclusion, incidence rates are useful epidemiologic calculations that can detail the amount of new cases of a disease in a population. It involves identifying the number of new cases of a disease and then dividing those numbers into a number when presents the total amount of people in a population which are or can be susceptible to that disease. The product of that answer is then multiplied by a population coefficient number, which is typically 100,000. The answer is then expressed as X people per 100,000 people in a population. We hope you found this presentation helpful.